So, no news is good news, right? Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and I love sharing my insights about all things books and publishing with you. Before I get into the details about today's topic, don't forget to hit subscribe. You'll be notified when I put out new videos every week about publishing, making a career to being an author, and now being a mompreneur. And today I'm going to give you an update on my querying journey so far. And like I said, is no news good news? Is no news bad news? What's the news? So I'm recording this on March 20th, 2023 in the middle of the day. So obviously this isn't going to air for at least a week or so because I have to edit it and get it up and everything. So there may already be updates. If I have additional updates, I will put them in at the end of this video. I hope there are updates. I also kind of hope there aren't updates because then I have to go and re-record it. But I want there to be updates. So I really hope there's updates and I'm inconvenienced and I have to re-record. So I just kind of want to tell you like where I'm at in the querying trenches. That's definitely a phrase I've heard a lot with querying, is that it feels like you're just like down in the grind of it. And so any other authors who are in the trenches, like, cheers, we're doing the thing. And I talked in the last video about why I decided to query, so I'm not going to go over that again. If you are like, what? MK's querying a book? Go back and watch that video where I explain the reasoning behind it and what I'm hoping to do. So kind of giving you an update of where things stand as of right now. So I sent out my very first query for this book on January 23rd of 2023. I've sent out a total of 24 queries, and that was between January 23rd and February 13th. Now, I had a very specific list of agents that I wanted to target during that time. And so far, I have received 2 full requests, which is exciting. One has already passed. One is still pending as of the time of this recording. So the agent has the full manuscript. I can see in Query Tracker that they, on average, take 19 days to respond on a submission, which is a full request. But when I looked at her like detailed stats, it was kind of all over the place. Like some people she offered within a couple days, some people it took her like months to offer. So 19 days is an average, but it doesn't actually tell me much looking at the detailed stats. But I'm excited. So hopefully I'll hear from her soon and I'll have to re-record this video, which would be great. So I had 5 of the queries lapsed out of the standard 42 days or 6 weeks window. So a lot of agents say, oh, if you don't hear back from me in 6 weeks, assume it's a pass. So I had 5 of those where I didn't hear anything, so I had to assume it was a pass. A little frustrating with that is that 2 of those agencies, so all 5 of those agencies were email only. They said, nope, you can only email us. They weren't on Query Tracker. And so I was like, okay, well, I hope it gets to them. 4 of them had something that said, hey, when you hit our submissions inbox, you're going to get a bounce back email that confirms it. Only 2 of those, of the 4 that said there would be a bounce back, only 2 of them had a bounce back. So I know that they received the query and it's past a 6-week window. So I'm like, okay, like that's a pass. The other 2, I reached out and said, hey, like I never got the bounce back. Can you just let me know if you've received it? And I never heard anything. So I don't know if their submissions inbox is just full or what. But anyways, it's been past 6 weeks, so I'm assuming it's a pass. And then I've had 12 flat out rejections. Oh, that was hard. Actually, technically 13, since the one agent who asked for a full then passed. So that's an extra ouch. Yeah, lucky number 13. And then the rest, I'm still waiting for a response for that 42-day or 6-week period to pass. So that's about half have passed. So that's not horrible. I would say for the first time around, especially already having 2 full requests, even though one said no, I'm still taking that as a win. It's still improvement over when I was doing this back in 2010 and I got just silence. I didn't get anything back. So actually getting stuff back is positive. So today I'm going to go over what I've learned from my experience so far. And if you're a published author or an agent watching this and you say, oh my gosh, she's clearly doing something incorrect, or, oh my gosh, if she was just doing XYZ, like, please comment with a tip. Please. Help me, help the other authors watching this. Thank you. So prior to even starting the querying process, I did a lot of research on getting the query package ready. Kind of the standard for a query package is the query letter, the synopsis, and the sample pages. Now, each agent asked for something different. Some have also asked for a one-line pitch, just like a log line. Some have asked for my bio and comparison titles separate from the query letter. Some have asked like why their agency, which was interesting because I had done my research on the agent and why I wanted to work with them and included like that personalization in my query letter. So then I had to go back and research more on the agency too. It was a good exercise for me to do, but also I was like, I don't know, because you work there and I want to work with you. That's the answer. So there was one agent I actually found on TikTok, and she talks a lot about the query letter, but then her query manager form didn't ask for a query. Like there was an author bio and sample pages, to which I thought, where do I put the query letter? So it was a little confusing. I don't know if that was like a little glitch on the query manager, query tracker side, but I was like, you talk a lot about query letters, but you didn't ask me for a query letter. So where do I put it? So some have asked for a synopsis, and some are very specific as to the length of the synopsis they want. And those agents are my favorite because I know what to give you. Others just say synopsis. But there really doesn't appear to be like a standard synopsis length between agencies. Like some will say this means it should only be 400 words, and others say this should be multiple pages. And I'm just like, well, what do you want? Just tell me. It's like when the IRS, when you have to do your taxes, and the IRS is like, you owe us money, and you're like, cool, how much? And they're like, well, we know, but we're not going to tell you. And you're like, I have to guess. They're like, nope, if you guess wrong, you go to jail. Like that's how I feel when agents don't tell me exactly what they want in the synopsis. I'm like, what do you want? What do you want? So that's been fun, but some agents are super specific on the length that they want for the synopsis, and that is super appreciated, and even spell out the difference between like what they want in the query letter and what they want in the synopsis, which is super refreshing because I feel like I was reading the description that some agents wanted for the synopsis, and I was like, that sounds like a query letter. So it made it a little confusing. But yes, it's very nice when, especially within either their form on their website or query manager form, that it says exactly what they want. Love it. So some of the agents, when they're asking for sample pages, some ask for 50, some ask for 30, some for 10, some for 5, some just want the first chapter, the first 2 chapters. It really varies. So I've been pulling different cuts of my opening pages for that. So regardless of what like the agent calls these documents, you pretty much need all 3. You have to have that ready because if they don't ask for the synopsis at first, you'd be ready if they ask for the full book because you wanted to have that ready to go at that point. Now, I did have alpha and beta readers look at the book itself, but I had a critique partner look over my query package, and that was helpful. So I also recently hired a coach to review my query letter and sample pages, and her feedback was fantastic. So I'm actually going to do the next round of queries soon. If I haven't already done that by the time I'm filming this before this will air. So probably by the time you're watching this, I've already sent out my next round of queries. Unless something happens with that full manuscript that's out. So we'll see. So yes, that is correct. So an agent has requested a full for my manuscript. And while I really want to work with this agent and I hope it's going to, be mutual and that we'll get to work together, like I'm going to keep querying until I sign with that agent. So I'm not going to put all my eggs into one basket. And a lot of agents that I follow and I read, they're like, don't put all your eggs in one basket because then you're going to be mad at me when I say no. And it's like, well, I didn't tell you to not query other people while I was looking at your manuscript. So definitely not putting my eggs in one basket. She may not want to work with me. She may get busy and not be able to read the manuscript for months. Like who knows what could happen. So in the meantime, I'm going to keep at it once I get that final round of review on my query package from the coach that I hired. So I'm really excited about that. Querying mindset. This is definitely something that's very different this time. So I addressed this a bit in my last video where I talked about that I was going to be querying and how when I wrote my very first books and queried them a decade ago. A decade? I can't be that old. 2010, 2023, more than a decade ago. So when I started querying more than a decade ago, I had the wrong mindset. I found the biggest authors of the time. I researched their agents, didn't even look at the genres they represented, mailed in an envelope carried by a dinosaur across the country to New York. I mailed them out and I crossed my fingers. I wasn't strategic. I assumed each non-response was a judgment passed on me as a person. And then when that mean author cut me down, it just validated all those negative feelings. So this time around, I'm more of the mindset of like, hey, do you want to be business partners in bringing this book to market? And each rejection definitely still stings. But my first thought isn't, oh my gosh, my writing sucks, I'm a failure. That's my second thought. my first thought is, okay, this wasn't right fit for them right now. Even if they said they were looking for exactly what my book is, well, maybe they just signed another author with a similar book, or they don't want competing titles with something that's already on their list. Maybe they're really looking for something different on their MSWL right now, which is manuscript wish list. Maybe they just ordered lunch and the sandwich shop messed up their order and they're not focusing and they're a little cranky. And so they're just like, no, I don't think that's the case, but it could be. So especially for the agents who actually send a response, I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, thanks for letting me know, like, happy trails. I will give a little bit of a querying trenches moment here though, because, I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to be positive. And I feel like other people in the querying trenches are like, no, stop it. This is the worst. And there is a moment where it was really bad. So in my monthly newsletter, which if you're not subscribed, like, why are you not subscribed? Like, you should go do that right now. So my monthly newsletter, I've been talking about some of the health issues I've been having this year. It turns out it's autoimmune. I had autoimmune issues before. But it's just different symptoms this time. But the symptoms I was having this time, like it was totally different than when I had an autoimmune issue back in high school. And so I was like, I don't know what these symptoms are, but you go into Google, and what does Google tell you whenever you have symptoms? It says that you have the big C, right? And that was scary. And thankfully, that's not the case. But when I went to my doctor, I was fully expecting my doctor to be like, come on, like, you're healthy, like, this is fine. Like, here's this pill, like, go away. But no, the doctor said, oh, well, we need to rule out the big C. And I was like, oh, like, I was expecting my doctor to validate that that was an overreaction, and she did not validate that. She said, no, we do need to rule that out. And I'm glad that they did. But that was still like a bit of a punch to the gut of like, whoa, like, this could be really serious. And then when I got home from that doctor appointment, that's when I saw the email from the first agent who had requested a full that they had decided to pass. So that was like a double punch to the gut that day. Not what I needed. But she didn't know that. It's, I guess, best to get it out of the way all in one day. Just like get all the really horrible things out in one day. But thankfully, like I said, no big C, just autoimmune circus. So there's that along with querying. Super fun. Okay, so the final bits of like updates I'm going to provide with you today, because I'll hopefully continue to provide updates, is that I'm going to be doing a few more videos on how I search for the agents and the agencies that I am querying, how I've specifically tested my query package, and when I knew it needed a revision and a coach to come in and help me, and how I'm using Query Tracker. Like, Query Tracker is amazing. If it had existed back when I was querying over a decade ago, then I think it would have totally just made my life so much easier. So for those who are regular subscribers to my channel, you already know I'm like super frugal. And if I can find a free option for something, I'll do it and like keep my royalties to reinvest elsewhere in my business. But like seeing what I could do with Query Tracker Premium, it was a like shut up and take my money moment. It's $25 for the year. I can see so much valuable insights and data. So I'm going to show you that in another video. So stay tuned for that. I've also now added to like compulsively checking KDP to like compulsively checking Query Tracker. So there's that too. But I think my next video I'm going to do is about how I was testing the query package, and then I'll just really go into like the nitty and gritty with Query Tracker. So stay tuned for that. What questions do you have about my querying journey? I don't know if I can answer specific questions about the querying process. I can really speak to my experience, but I'll probably do like a querying process, ask me anything at some point, but obviously not soon. I'm hoping to have more updates. But please, like, keep in mind, this is so hard to publicly post, like my rejection rate of people who thought they didn't want to work with me, and how it feels to think that you're a failure. So please hit the like button and subscribe, and maybe hit the thanks button to follow my journey. And I really appreciate all of your support on this very vulnerable topic. All right, now you can get back to writing your book.